Kohola Yahweh Bashim Shai Bashim Dash, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone Above. Well, I am not a member, however, I've entered into their labors. Peace and mercy to the sincere brothers and sisters, students, wherever you are, whatever your lot may be. That was a quick one here. And it's just a reminder. This isn't meant to be an exhaustive thing, which it can be if you know what to type into YouTube, Rome and America, GMS, and you will find the exhaustive lessons that you need. If I can remember, I will put that in the description box for you, make it a little easier. Sometimes you got to make things easy. And there is way too many parallels to count between Rome and America, which is, but the Bible also highlights that, if you have eyes to see and ears to hear, okay? But let me rewind it back. And we'll let him say it. We'll let him, make his point a couple of times, and then we'll pause it. Maybe I'll try not to stop it, but we'll pause it on the second round and get the precepts we need. All right, so here we go.
This professor explains the issue with America and why it's a falling empire.
The end came from the United States itself in trying to juxtapose its interests to every other country, thinking, we're going to put sanctions against everyone who doesn't agree with this. Like, we hate China because they're more prosperous than us. We hate Russia because Russia's supporting China. We hate Iran because we don't control its oil. We hate Iraq and Syria because we don't control its oil. And now Trump in the last few days has said, we're really angry with Europe because Europe didn't send its Navy to commit suicide and all be killed by joining us in opening the Persian Gulf. He said, hey, Europe, if you want oil, why don't you send your Navy to open up the Persian Gulf? Come and get it. We don't need it. It's our war, but your problem. The United States, all the way from the Bushes, through Obama, through Trump, that has given the rest, has closed off the United States from the rest of the world and virtually declared war on the rest of the world, leaving the whole rest of the world with no option except to join Iran. That's what's so amazing.
And by default, joining Iran means joining Russia, joining China. Okay, so even America's allies, right? There's decay and there's degradation in the solidarity within NATO and the EU, and everybody's just kind of tired of Babylon. They're tired of the whore. They're tired of, the king whose look was more stout than his fellows. And on a separate note, as you can see, they went around trying to, eliminate quote unquote DEI, but they are the DEI. It is when you look at the current cabinet, that is what you see on a microcosmic level throughout corporate America, these different companies in corporate America. If you've worked in corporate America, you know. And excuse my French ahead of time, but these are some of the stupidest motherfuckers with so much money that you will ever meet. Just dumb. Repeat the same mistakes. Last minute decision making. All kind of stuff. And then there's a panic and then there's a blame on other people. And that is why when the scriptures tell you, so as a people, so is the ruler, roughly paraphrased, it makes sense as to why he won the vote. Of course, everything he said was a lie. Everything any politician says is a lie, including your precious Obama, Jake. But he fits so well because he's a reflection of the average, so-called white tea American. Overpaid, underqualified, severely underqualified, mediocre. Not a shred of elevated intelligence within 10 feet of them. And that, as you can see, hey, that's why he is where he is. Not only that, but, this is the man, right? This is Nero. And the Lord wants this. This is how it's supposed to play out according to prophecy. Even if this calms down, it will ramp back. This is not truly calm. Even if they stop bombing, it is only for now. because you can bet between whichever E acts, which will most likely be the least of the flock, right? According to scripture, least of the flock drawing them out, it will be them. And, we expect a false FLAG, a little black swan, something, a little something sprinkled in there here pretty soon. Right? Because it's kind of the same as World War II. America was dragged into World War II same way. All right? But anyway, let's roll it back. And we'll pause it as needed.
Pastor explains the issue with America and why it's a falling empire.
But before we do, so okay, let me read Revelation 13 and 3. So fitting. So because these are the same people, same empire, just different times, right? 13. Straight to the point here. And actually, no. Let's go from the top. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, right? Meaning of the people, having 7 heads and 10 horns, right? There's the NATO, the EU, okay? And then the whore that rides on the beast is Babylon the Great, the daughter of Babylon, the virgin daughter who ought to be destroyed. Upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his head the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power, and his seat and great authority. The point here, and I saw one of his heads, it were wounded to death. Okay, so the fall of the Western Roman Empire, and his deadly wound was healed. And the world wondered after the beast, right? And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, and who is able to make war with him? Also, there was given unto him, not also, but I'm just saying also, we're moving into verse 5, and there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. Power was given unto him to continue 42 months. Okay, so that healed wound, all right, is now that you tie that, with Revelation 20, and that 1,000 years, okay, he went into the caves. After the fall of the Western Roman Empire, comes out of the caves. Now you have the Renaissance, where they paint over the images. And, not only was there a cultural and societal Renaissance, but there was also a medical Renaissance. And if you just look, they try to highlight how far medical practice has come. But it hasn't come far at all, because they wiped away what was good and tried to, we can do it better. Now, all the better was the experiment on Jake, men, women, and children, without anesthesia, without any numbing, any nothing. Just cut the baby out of the woman's womb at certain types of months, or not certain, at a certain certain portion of time, to see how the baby grows. You were not even human. So imagine trying to prove your humanity to a fucking beast. Anyway, we read that. Okay, so that's how let me also get, okay, so Rome also imploded from within, and I'm going to read you these points here. These are the key internal causes of its collapse. First, we'll read the top portion, like the overview. Okay, the Western Roman Empire fundamentally imploded from within due to a combination of political, economic, and military decay, which made it unable to withstand external pressures, internal issues, including as a user in the history skills. Okay, whatever. This is somebody else saying something. What is the point? Okay, described a feeling of betrayal by citizens. Okay, citizens feeling betrayed by their government, or slaves who may have opened the city gates during crisis acted as the primary cause, while invasions and climate. Okay, they talk about the sea change, whatever. But here's the point here. And who say, maybe it does. Maybe that is a thing. Now, I don't want to be the person that says that, the sea change isn't real. That's not what I mean. Well, I think that it is a thing. I think the earth is a living, I know the earth is a living organism. And just as we go through changes in temperature and changes in your body goes through changes throughout, the times that you're alive, from birth to death, the earth, I believe, does the same thing. I think that just these devils have weaponized what sea change actually means, okay? And they, going into the whole carbon neutral thing, but carbon is the building block of life. So when they talking about eliminating carbon, that is another way to say you are being eliminated as a people. Breaking off subject, let me read the key internal causes of collapse. Political instability, constant civil wars, which is on the way, rapid turnover of emperors. Now, we ain't there yet, but there are way too many chiefs, I think, and not enough Indians here. Ooh, whatever. It is what it is. A blah, 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 right? During the 3rd century crisis, a lack of clear succession process weakened the central control. Okay, so economic collapse. What do you see? Whether it's purposeful or not, it is happening. Severe inflation, crushing taxation to support a massive military bureaucracy, and a widening gap between rich and poor crippled the economy. C19. Military degradation. If you look, these phones were the worst thing, and I had to counsel when I was in counsel so many of these troops about, like, just put the damn phone down. Why do you have to put everything online? It makes so much easier if you just go do your job. If you're gonna complain, at least take your doggone uniform off. But they just doing any and everything, and you can see in real time the degradation of the force. Right? Only a small percentage of the U.S. military is a fighting force. And an even smaller percentage of clandestine units, like Delta and some sort of tier 1 and tier 2 special operation, whatever it is, what have you. And then it takes years to train them. Years. So you can be trained in, I don't know, whatever, maybe 3 to 8 years for one member. But what you miss out on is the battle experience that they can bring to the new ones. So degradation, every which way you turn, right? Social, civil disengagement. Elites often prioritize self-interest over the state, and Iran is highlighting that in every one of these videos. And Lord willing, I'm gonna keep covering them. And every time they interview these defense ministers or these spokespersons, they coined it the Epstein class, or which is synonymous with the elite or the upper echelon of Babylonian society. Okay, countryside. Let's see. Elites often prioritize self-interest over the state, fleeing to the countryside to avoid taxes and creating decentralization. Fiefdoms. What is that? Okay, let's look that up real quick. It's FIEFDOM. So let's look up fiefdom. A fief. Okay, well, what is a fief? Oh, the domain controlled by a feudal lord. Okay, there we go. Right. And what do you have here? Like, how much money do elites pay in taxes as a so-called elites as opposed to the average everyday working American? Exponentially different. And then they know and are taught about taxation loopholes, okay? Especially when it comes to buying art. And what they do is they get this random piece of shit painting, pay, whatever X amount it is for it, and then get it appraised for a higher amount. So say it's a $20 million painting, they take it, get it appraised for 40, send that appraisal up, and then boom, now they get a check in the mail for the additional what it was appraised for. Crooked everywhere, crooked, right? Okay, and the last one was the population decline, and the decline in the population is in decline in these E's. They are not having babies. Jake can, Jake will. They ain't having babies though. All right, so by the time of the final collapse, the Western Empire was already a shadow of its former self, right? With the internal fragmentation having broken the state before the foreign tribes officially took over. All right, so that is, I'll read it again. So the key internal factor, you can write this down: political instability, economic collapse, military degradation, social slash civil disengagement, population decline. Okay? All right, so we read Revelation 13, okay? And this is where these are all E systems. I coined it the Haman effect, right? In the book of Esther. Haman set up Jake to, try to get the Israelites destroyed. And he ended up, especially Esther's uncle, but he ended up being hanged on those very gallows. Everything they do implodes. Everything that they try to do backfires. And call Allah Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, because if their enterprise was able to be forward like they think it is, as the scriptures say, no flesh would be saved, right? So, let's go ahead and we'll pause when necessary when we need to get additional scriptures. There we go again.
It came from the United States itself in trying to juxtapose its interests to every other country, thinking, we're going to put sanctions against everyone who doesn't agree with this. Like, we hate China because they're more prosperous than us. We hate Russia because Russia's supporting China. We hate Iran because we don't control its oil. We hate Iraq and Syria because we don't control its oil. And now Trump in the last few days has said, we're really angry with Europe because Europe didn't send its navy to commit suicide and all be killed by joining us in opening the Persian Gulf. He said,
Right. Jeremiah 51:7, Babylon has been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Right? And ain't nobody drinking it no more. They're like, F you. Because you never keep a deal. You never hold your word. And if you're in some sort of peace talks, best believe, while they're talking peace at the table, they're sending planes to your homeland to just indiscriminately, allegedly, bomb infrastructure. That has nothing to do with military. Just like that Tomahawk that hit that school. And they tried to cover it up and say it was a mistake, or, it was, bad coordinates or whatever. But if when that thing was released, when they first came out with the Tomahawk, they boasted about its pinpoint precision accuracy. And they won't lie when it's something about, when it's time to. They only lie when you have to uncover the truth about their wickedness, but they won't lie when it comes to doing something they think is quote unquote good. Heavy price to pay in Babylon. Not only now, but you touch the apple of the Lord's eye. More importantly, you touch the apple of the Lord's eye.
hey, Europe, if you want oil, why don't you send your navy to open up the Persian Gulf? Come and get it. We don't need it. It's our war, but your problem. The United States, all the way from the Bushes, through Obama, through Trump, that is given the rest, is closed off the United States from the rest of the world and virtually declared war on the rest of the world, leaving the whole rest of the world with no option except to join Iran.
Exactly, like I said before. Joining Iran, by very definition, means joining unto the other nation, right? The Russia, China, those who are their direct, quote unquote, their direct enemies for no reason at all. But whatever. It is the will of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, and the only thing that we can do is continue to be contrite, be holy, seeking Yahweh while he may be Yahweh Bashim Yahushua while he may be found. Okay, and doing your best to be pleasing. Continue to pray, continue to be repentant, and especially in your prayers, that your integrity, if it is strong now, that if your integrity is on 8, let it be on 18 when it needs to be. All right. So we'll close here with Proverbs 6 and verse 16 through 19. There are 6 things the Lord hates, 7 that are detestable to him. Okay, and 7 is the number of completion, and E covers all of these. Complete evil, right? According to the book of Malachi. I was thinking Adam and Malachi at the same time. Haughty eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises the wicked schemes, feet that are quick to rush into evil. And this is in the NIV as by the way. A false witness who pours out lies, and a person who stirs up conflict in the community. And that stirring up conflict is a special characteristic, a special perfected tactic of Amalek. Shalom.